Hello, and welcome to this episode of the K&Co Tech Pod. I'm your host, Shelly Kramer, Principal Analyst here at Kramer&Company. And today we're going to take a look at the progress Dell's corporate sustainability and ESG teams have made in 2024. This includes how they decided on the priorities for their sustainability objectives. And we're also going to take a look at Dell's end-to-end approach to sustainability. And finally, we're going to spend a little time exploring what customers are asking for in and around sustainability. My guest today is Cassandra Garber, Chief Sustainability Officer at Dell. Welcome, Cassandra.
Thank you so much, Shelly. Excited to be here.
I've been so looking forward to this conversation. So we got the chance to spend some time together at the Dell Technology Summit in Austin a few weeks ago, and I got the chance to hear a ton of really impressive updates from the Dell team on the sustainability front. So I've been looking forward to this conversation so that we can unpack those a little bit, and I'm so glad you had time to join me. So let's dive in. Tell us more first about your role at Dell Technologies and where your team is focused for the year ahead.
Yeah, I have the best role at Dell Technologies as Chief Sustainability Officer because my team gets to work on the things that, in my opinion, are incredibly meaningful to society and meaningful to our business. And it's that challenge and that combination of the two that I think makes it just the best job in the world. Because we think about the environmental and social impacts as it relates to business risks and business opportunities and business implications and societal implications, societal risks and opportunities as well. And that's really, really fantastic. So we get to work on everything from strategy setting, business integration. We have strategic programs that we run for the company. We hold the company accountable to goals that we set as an organization. We have conversations at all levels of the company as well, so we can make thoughtful and strategic decisions. And we work very pan-Dell in everything that we do. We have to be very kind of enterprise and beyond in everything we do. So we get to work on an incredible amount of stuff across the company.
You know, I think when I hear something like that, Cassandra, I think about the times that I have been invited to my kids' elementary school or junior high school to talk for career day. And to be, I mean, seriously, like, I know that you're incredibly passionate about what you do. And I know that you mean it when you say I have the best job in the world. But to me, you know, extrapolating that out and being able to, you know, stand up in front of your kids or your kids' classmates and say, I get to spend all day, every day thinking about, you know, saving the planet, you know, and making this world more sustainable and better. And you know what? It's a darn cool job.
It is incredibly cup filling. And I do the same thing. I get to talk to my kids. I might be raising three similar minded people who, you know, recognize that there's an opportunity to do so in business, because a lot of people don't realize that there are roles like that. Yeah. And what I fundamentally believe, last thing I'll say on this, because I know we have other things we're talking about, but I fundamentally believe that when we can make environmental and social impact a core part of business, when it actually is recognized for the risks associated, the opportunities associated, the innovation that comes from it, that's when the world gets better, because business drives so much. Yeah. So when it's really, really there, we're going to make the world a better place. And that's why I do what I do, and why I stopped doing it.
I love it. I love it. So let's talk a little bit about Dell Technologies. How does Dell position itself as a leader in driving sustainability within the tech industry? And what do you see, what do you feel distinguishes Dell's sustainability approach from some of your competitors?
Yeah. So the way we position ourselves is very similar to the way we position ourselves on sustainability is very similar to the way we position ourselves as a company overall. So our differentiator across the board is that we are enterprise IT. We can do end-to-end IT. Same way with sustainability. We can do end-to-end sustainability. So we can think about on the back end how we run sustainability in our supply chain, how we run operations around it. We can think about the front end, what we offer to our customers, how we help them meet their goals. And we can think about the one other end that we like to talk about, which is collective impact, which means what does it mean in a community? How are we actually having an impact in a community as well? So it's that holistic end-to-end approach that is our overall differentiator. And then the way that really comes to life is, you know, we have energy efficient products. We are recognized for leading the way in terms of energy efficiency, which has always been important, but in the age of AI, even more so. Everyone wants to talk energy efficiency right now because of the energy requirements associated with generative AI, of course.
Right.
So that's been a differentiator, and it's only continuing to show that we really know how to do this and do it well. Another thing is from circularity perspective. So we've been a leader in circularity, in circular design, in thinking about take back and our services, and from that standpoint, that absolutely differentiates us.
Yeah.
And the last thing that I'll mention is something that I hear directly from customers and analysts. We are very much a high say do company. If we say we're going to do it, we do it.
Yeah.
If we say we're running it, and we mean it. So we tend to do more than we say, but if we say it, we mean it. And that comes up as a differentiator more often than you would think.
Yeah.
We hear a lot from our customers.
Yeah, and I think, you touched on AI and, with this race to embrace generative I think that actually elevates the conversation around sustainability so much more because of the energy required, because in some ways, embracing AI can have an impact on corporate sustainability goals. So I find in my conversations with customers in the industry, it's like they're looking for help with balancing those two solutions. And, really, I think that's where something like what it is you and your team do is really incredibly valuable.
It is, and it spans more things than you would think. So everybody talks about the energy consumption and the availability of renewable energy in order to power all of these large language models and the data centers and all of that. But there's also circularity. When everybody wants the latest and greatest stuff, we're
Right.
going to have a tremendous amount of e-waste. So once again, having a leadership role in how we thought about that, that's another risk and opportunity for our business. And then I don't know if we want to talk about this today, but digital inclusion is another risk and
Yeah.
opportunity. So
Yeah.
the digital divide is going to be exacerbated with AI. There's already have-nots, and if everyone doesn't have equal access to AI skills, training, knowing how to use it safely, it's already coming up in schools today. I feel it personally with my own children in school. We hear about it, in various parts of the globe and having impacts in different ways. So there's even more implications associated with AI then come up, in kind of high level conversations. And it comes up a lot with our customers that they're
Yeah.
thinking about various aspects. Yeah.
I think about that all the time. Digital inclusion is so important. So digital inclusion, the circular economy, and climate action. How do you decide on priorities?
Yeah. So this is going to sound so corporate speak, but there is an actual process now. And in fact, we haven't even talked about regulations, but that's one of the big things that those of us in roles and areas like mine now are thinking about more than ever, because there's
Yeah.
increasing regulations. And so one of the things that is expected / required in the environment we're in right now is to actually identify what is material to your business. There's even a new process, if you will, called double materiality. So how are you thinking about the way in which your company is impacting the world and the way in which the world and society is impacting your company? So it's outside in and inside out. There's a process by which you go through that. You have to talk to your stakeholders, very much consider your customers, but also consider your business strategy, consider your investors, consider employees. So it's a very multi-stakeholder approach to understanding those impacts outside and inside. You go through that, you document everything, you have all the right conversations, and it usually becomes pretty clear what your risks and opportunities are, and oftentimes they're both. So the greenhouse gas emissions and climate action that I was talking about very clearly is an example of something that is a risk. These large language models are going to eat up a lot more energy and therefore have greater greenhouse gas emissions. That's an opportunity for us as a company to come forward with more energy efficient products, use AI to actually manage emissions, use it in the data center to have the information you need, use telemetry to actually make different decisions about how you're running your workloads. So it comes, the way in which we got to these is a very robust process, but because the space is evolving, because these regulations are coming, we're at least all starting to tackle it in a similar kind of way, which is to understand risks and opportunities, put them on paper, and then think about the implications to your company.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. One of the things we talked about at this summit event a few weeks ago was Dell's end-to-end approach to sustainability and some of the thinking and some of the impressive work that you all are doing on that front. Can you share a little bit more with me about that?
Yeah, I love talking about end-to-end because I think in slides, PowerPoint is my love language. I'll just say it out loud. It's true because it puts everything in one place and you can talk to things and all get on the same page about things. But so we have end to end on a slide. And what happens when we say end to end and we explain it is that it's fascinating to see how many customers or analysts or employees, they come into a conversation thinking you're going to pitch them on products and offerings and all those things. And when you say, hey, we can talk to you about data collection, we can talk ESG related data collection, we can talk to you about our supply chain, we can talk to you about how we run ESG across our company, how we manage difficult decisions and sometimes really challenging trade-offs in the back end. They love that.
Yeah.
They're like, we're challenged with this ourselves. We're challenged with figuring out how to make these very systemic choices across our company. So they love talking about back end, which is that.
Right.
And
Right.
you can also speak to front end. So front end for us is, what are the products? What are the services? And we can start that conversation with, what are your goals? And how can we make sure our products help you get there? So if they have the same way we have 2030, 2040, 2050 goals, almost all of our customers do now as well. And so we can start there and say, oh, you have goals in these 3 areas. Here's the products that can help you get where you need to get from an IT perspective, and think differently about that, and creates a very innovative conversation, quite frankly. And then the third bucket is that collective impact. This is another one that when we talk with customers in particular, it's fascinating how meaningful and cup filling it is when we show them the programs that we run using our products. So we have solar community hubs, which are recycled shipping containers that we put in places where people don't have access to technology.
Yeah.
And the shipping container has, Dell technology in it so that they can go to school. They can learn AI curriculum now that we've started to put in place. They also have other services. So we started building them out so that there's a business opportunity for the local community and it becomes a sustainable hub for them to have in the community. When we talk about using a digital assistant to, make improvements in kids interviewing for new jobs. We've heard that, one of the biggest barriers for kids getting jobs out of school is they're so nervous in these interviews, they don't know how to do it. So we're using digital assistants to practice interview skills in a safe environment. And I've used it personally. There's an avatar named Tomas. There's several avatars, but Tomas is lovely. And he has made me a better interviewer as much as he's helping all of these kids be interviewees.
Yeah.
So when we show that, collective impact bucket as well, the conversation can go anywhere with our customers. And it's because it's holistic.
Yeah.
We understand what you're going through because we have all these different aspects we're thinking about. Let's talk, let's plan together, let's learn together. And we love it. The conversation can go anywhere, but it's the right kind of conversation to be having.
Yeah, I love that too. And I think one of the things that resonated with me that it's not new as it relates to your approach, but what I really like a lot is that this is not a cookie cutter approach to a very big solution. This is we meet our customers where they are and we listen. And sometimes we help work together to establish goals and priorities and that sort of thing. So I love the uniqueness of that and the consultative approach that you bring to the table, because I think that is a key differentiator.
You're right. And just for the audience to know, I didn't tell Shelly to say that.
No.
Interviewing you, but no, you're exactly right.
Yeah.
It's that we're here for you, customer, and we'll bring you a breadth of things, and let's talk together about what you need and how we can think about it. And we do have many examples of where we've innovated together on a product, an offering, a service, whatever it might be, and where we've partnered together on those community programs. So we actually have partnerships on the ground as well to actually change people's lives immediately. And it's really powerful.
Well, and I think that, first of all, I'll say that this is one of the reasons that, analysts so enjoy the relationships that we have with vendors, because we get behind the curtains access to your thinking and your strategy and all of that sort of thing. So when I make an observation like that, it's because I have that relationship, and I'm grateful for that. But the other thing I think that a lot of times people don't realize when we're talking about corporate sustainability and ESG is that digital inclusion piece of the equation. This is not just about, circularity, and it's not just about, energy consumption management. This is about, really being a resource for communities in ways that I don't think people always think about when they think about sustainability objectives. And that is a game changer that's changing lives. And I think that's really exciting.
It's changing lives. It's also, it's a good business move. That's all there is to it. Thinking about the future workforce, thinking about upskilling for the future workforce, for the future buyer base, for the impact that you can have. It's all of those considerations.
Yeah.
So digital inclusion is incredibly important right now for a company so focused on AI as we are. It's really important we bring the world along with us.
Yeah, I agree, because none of us, if only some of us embrace and really understand the value of and utilize AI, and, a whole bunch of others are left behind, we don't win collectively. We don't win at all. So I really like that. So you talked a little bit about this back end, and where would the governance aspect of things fit in there, and how has that evolved at Dell, and how do you think others could implement a similar framework? And that's 3 questions in one, and I know you can handle it.
I can try at least. Okay, here's what I'll say about governance. Governance is sexy. It didn't used to be, and it is now. And it's a joke that we make inside the company, because it sounds like something that is so, oh gosh, like, what do we have to do? What are the requirements? How do we have to put that in place? But I'm telling you, governance has become the key to success.
Yeah.
So what we've done on that back end, again, we like to laugh. So it is called the ESG OMG.
I love it.
Oh my goodness, because it is robust, but it actually stands for operating model and governance. Yeah. And so we've actually put a structure in place where every BU and every function in our business has a point person, a lead responsible for integrating sustainability and ESG. So that is our path to agility. That is our way that we can all come together and agree, these are our priorities. Teams can work together. So that makes it a systemic plan, because it is, spread throughout the entire company. It connects teams to one another. So when supply chain is dependent upon finance, or HR is dependent upon our CSE group, they know who to go to, they work it out, they set the plans together. So it's highly efficient. When something happens in the market, we go to the team immediately. We all know who we are. We talk it through, we make a plan, we decide, and we go. So this structure has changed the game for us. And then the governance of it is we have clarity of our decision makers upstream. So it goes up to, we have a steerco, we have our executive leadership team, and we have our board very involved. And we have a documented process by which we make sure that on a quarterly basis, the ELT and the board know what we're doing, what decisions we've made, what's happening in the market, and then we can filter it back down. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, the OMG was because it was hard to put this model in place, and, you have to go function by function and decide how you're going to handle it. But it's game changing, and it's like you run any other critical part of the business. You set a strategy, you do it together, you run it, and you hold teams accountable. And that's how we run ESG in the company now. In terms of others doing it, we have customers who ask us, how did you do that? How can we do that?
Right.
And the flow of your questions is perfect, because it goes back to one of the first things we talked about, which is materiality. The first thing you do is figure out, what are your biggest risks and opportunities from an environmental and social perspective. Once you know which teams need to be involved in either identifying or executing or making decisions on them. Those teams become your op model. They become your community, your network. And then you determine who has to sign off on your plans and your ideas. That becomes your governance. And I just will say it's the harder part is implementing, the change management associated with getting it all up and running. The easier part is figuring out what it is to do, because it is a change management exercise.
Yeah.
It's a decision as a company that you're going to put that level of accountability and governance in place. But it has proven valuable time and time and time again for us, and we're really, really proud of it.
Yeah, and I think, something like the establishment of an ESG steering committee is such an important part of this process. And I think that, in many organizations, and I'm talking in some instances, very big organizations or, maybe mid-market size organizations, a lot of times there's a corporate sustainability officer, chief sustainability officer, with a team of two, and trying to create a culture of sustainability and interest in and passion for sustainability, and trying to map out, objectives and goals and all that sort of thing. And so it's like having that steering committee, in my mind, makes that lift less heavy for the person leading the charge. And when you have this sort of group involvement and, you can work together across, I'm sure, lines of business, right? I mean, I think to me, that's a key suggestion for success if you're thinking about, these kinds of initiatives internally.
Yeah, it becomes complicated because you're right. It is working across the lines of business. One of the things that we have at Dell, we're a big company. We have a lot of things happening appropriately so in all the different markets that we're in and different offerings that we have. So getting everybody on the same page about the core few things we're going to focus on can be a challenge.
Sure.
And streamlining and prioritizing. Another Dell phrase we use a lot, or another phrase we use a lot at Dell, I don't know if it's a Dell phrase, is clear is kind. Let's all be very clear. What are our priorities? And everyone who's in our ESG OMG can tell you our priorities are meet regulations, deliver on our customers' critical few, and deliver on our 2030 plus goals, because we have made it abundantly clear that's where we're focusing, that's where we're spending our time, and everyone builds their plans accordingly. That is just really, truly empowering to teams to be able to work together on the same types of things and know where we're all focused.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I think about 2030, and I think about when I first started covering sustainability, and, and people were setting those goals, and, 2030 seemed like a really long time away. And now it's like this far away. So, there is an urgency to that and to being able to meet those goals.
Absolutely. And I feel the pressure personally and professionally.
Absolutely.
It's coming upon us. And we have some big aggressive goals. So, a little bit of stress.
That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about the front end approach of Dell's sustainability, the front end aspect of Dell's sustainability approach, and how this benefits customers.
Yeah. So on the front end side of things, one of my favorite things about it is that when you have something like AI come up and your customers are coming to you to talk about it, the front end approach allows us to be very flexible. To your earlier point, we can be very customized and very flexible because our front end approach is basically just the collection of all of our offerings that are related to sustainability. And so when our customer says, hey, our priority in this environment with AI is around take back, because we are going to have a lot of tech being refreshed, we can say, great. We have little icons next to each of the offerings. These are all of our circular offerings that we have for you. Let's have a conversation about which ones make the most sense as you're thinking about this. Mm-hmm. If they say, I'm really concerned about the greenhouse gas emissions associated with, implementing, or I need, more on-prem, whatever it may be, we have it packaged up in a way that we can have that conversation and say, remove these items, let's talk like this. And have that very customized, very thoughtful conversation. So, and in the AI world, that's been really beneficial time and time and time again, because we're figuring it out together. Right. That's the other great part of it. When they say, we really want to think about it this way, we can say, you know what, we're going to take that back. Let us work on it a bit, or let's work together on this, especially with some of our partners. Let's work together on this and bring ideas forward. So the front end is holistic in itself, and it's more a way to have a conversation to help them meet their goals than anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are you hearing from your customers in terms of their key areas of focus on this front?
Yeah, AI is a thing.
Of course.
So they want to talk data center. They want to talk sustainable data centers.
Yeah,
So we talk a lot back to the energy efficient products and how are we thinking about managing ESG data in
yeah,
general. So how can we help, those managing the data centers to, understand, identify, and determine the implications, and frankly, communicate the implications of environmental and social aspects from a data center standpoint. So that's been an interesting one. Our customers want to be able to speak to the energy and emissions impacts of their data centers. So there's
right.
a whole bucket of kind of sustainable data center. That's a really big thing. Related, they want to talk enterprise wide. So they want to talk, how do we think about the AI PC running workloads there versus the data center and the combination of the two, and where we are in our journey? Where should we think about where we should be running workloads? Which employees should we be thinking about, in terms of the AI PC? All those conversations are happening from a sustainability standpoint.
Right.
Product carbon footprint remains the number one request we get from our customers.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to know the carbon footprint, and this poses a lot of challenges because there is no industry standard for how you calculate a product carbon footprint. So we have a lot of conversations on how we measure, how we communicate, and how we can help figure out a configuration specific product carbon footprint for our customers. So that's a really big one as well. They want to talk regulations. Everybody is trying to figure out how to navigate very different regulations in
Yeah.
very different parts of the world. So we have a lot of conversations about the regulatory environment as well. And then they just want to implement. So some of our customers are in an earlier stage. So to our other conversation, we get questions about, how do I stand up sustainability and ESG in my company?
Right.
So I would say that's another one we continue to hear.
Mhm.
They're recognizing, either through regulations or through opportunity, they're recognizing the importance and looking to us to help them think through that.
Makes perfect sense. So, speaking of customers and collaboration, talk with me about. I know there's some interesting partnerships and initiatives that Dell's participated in. Um, talk with me about those partnerships and initiatives that you feel like have helped you make a greater collective impact.
Yeah. So these are just expanding constantly. It's really cool. My
Yeah.
favorite part is it's name any industry, and the opportunity is there for AI
Yeah.
to make a positive
Sure.
impact. So like we have a customer by the name of Moya. It's in South Africa. They're using drones and of course NVIDIA and Dell solutions to detect potato leaf disease in their crops. And then they can completely change their crop rotation and rethink how they're managing their crops. That is something that seems so, not what we're all talking about on a daily basis, but rethinking crop rotation and therefore better output of food in South Africa. It's just this incredible use of generative AI and AI technology. So we have some really cool examples like that. I mentioned before the digital assistant. So we also have an example with the city of Amarillo that's really cool, where the city of Amarillo in Texas has a very diverse community, particularly in languages spoken. So they have many languages spoken. So what happens is when people need access to basic services, like basic government services, it's a real challenge for them to even understand, how do I set up, my utility my utility bills, how do I understand how to get my water started, or whatever questions they might have for the government. So we are using a digital assistant now that can answer in almost any language their questions and help guide them to the right place in almost an instant. And what that means in terms of people having access to basic human services and their basic life needs is tremendous and really, really powerful.
Yeah.
I mentioned the solar hubs. And we have things like Student Tech Crew, which is just really incredible as well, where we actually help have students become the IT help desk at their schools. And I've
Oh, I
seen
love that.
action. It's so cool and so empowering. And just it's interesting because not only do they repair whatever the device is within their school, the confidence building that comes with this program
It's
is
crazy.
tremendous. I mean, when they can help their teacher repair something, when they can help the principal repair something, and we actually have a certification that they can get as a result. We have seen some of our customers and partners hire the students who graduated because they've gotten real life, real world skills.
Absolutely. Now, so Cassandra, is this at the high school level or is it the college level or both? Or where are we doing this student tech crew?
It's primarily high school. We do have a few examples outside of that, but and that's why I'll throw back again, that digital assistant who also helps with the interview skills,
Yeah.
that combination of the two, when they know their technical skills, when they can practice interviewing for a job, both of which using digital assistant support, this changes lives. I mean, we have real examples of lives who have been changed because of the opportunities that came to kids who might not have otherwise had them.
Oh, absolutely. I can totally see that. And I think that, I'm a parent of twins who are freshmen in college, and I tried without success to try to get my daughters interested in a life in tech. But, who knows? It's still early. I won't completely give up hope. But my point is,
Everyone's life in tech these days.
we are all in tech these days. But the thing to me that's so interesting about that is that, one of course, because my kids are in this arena right now, I hear a lot of conversations from parents of recent graduates or kids who are getting ready to graduate. And a lot of times finding jobs, entry-level jobs, is incredibly difficult because they have no experience. So something like this that sets them on a path to having real world, sleeves up experience in the technology sector and doing these kind of things lays the foundation that they can benefit from, in not only throughout high school, not only into college, but really be able to leverage that and extrapolate that out into some amazing first job opportunities.
You're exactly right. I mean, it's digital inclusion at its finest, probably.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I am a super fan. So Cassandra, as we wrap the show, I'd love it if you would share with us some of the things you're most excited about as we head into 2030.
Yeah, the opportunities associated with AI, I know I might sound like the same thing everyone says, but it's true. I mean, when I think about what I just shared with you, I mean, we can help with access to food. We can help with education. We can help change people's lives. We can help with climate change. We can help with, waste. There is almost no issue that can't have some positive impact through AI and generative AI. That is about as exciting as it gets. I love governance. I love our OMG. We have so much wonderful things that are coming as a result of the regulations, but frankly, the opportunities associated with AI are where, the cup filling, meaningful work is really likely to come.
I love it. I love it. Well, that's a wrap for today's episode of the K&Co Tech Podcast. Cassandra Garber, Chief Sustainability Officer of Dell Technologies. Thank you so much for joining me today. I knew it was going to be a fantastic conversation, and the insights you've shared about Dell's commitment to sustainability and passion for helping customers meet both their business and their sustainability goals, and the actionable things you're doing to make that a reality is really exciting. So I'm very much looking forward to continuing to watch Dell continue its forward progress on the sustainability front in the coming months ahead. And I thank you so much for joining us. To our viewers and listening audience, this is Shelly Kramer from Kramer & Company Research. Thank you so much for joining us today for our coverage of enterprise and emerging tech news. And if you've not yet hit that subscribe button, we'd love for you to do so. And we'll see you back here next time.